much drivel that comes along. It's nice when there's one that's smart and funny. It's just got it all. So. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Lovely to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're all set.
If you're able to stay on a two-shot. Oh, no. Yeah, if you're able to stay on two for me, right?
Yes, over the shoulder.
Over the shoulder,
Yep.
right. Congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Isn't it nice that simplicity can be so multidimensional? I mean, truly, less can be more.
I agree that less can be more, and that simplicity can be very contagious, I think because it's pure. And I think that you have two characters here, no matter how different their cultures, their backgrounds, and their losses, because both have suffered losses. She, her life through her husband leaving, and his life through the killing of his brother, the torture of his family, the exiles of so many Sikhs from India during those troubled years. And that I think the characters are versions in their pure form. And I think that that makes it very contagious for an audience, that they can recognize themselves in specifics rather than a generalized mess. These are very, I'm just looking at the poster over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You couldn't have two clearer silhouettes. You could not have two people more individuated.
Yeah.
And then out of that comes a great friendship.
Yet so the same.
So the same.
Ultimately, yet the same, and so heartening as well. After coming out of this movie and feeling so great watching it for a variety of reasons, and turning the radio on and listening to yesterday in particular with complete chaos in the news, and one depressing, awful, terrible story, divisive story after another. This film really just kind of reinforced to me that people can be so different, yet are very much the same, want the same things in life, hoping for the same kinds of things in life. I mean, this film has just struck me, the more I thought about it, struck me on so many different levels.
That is terrific, because it's not a film that sets out to be political in any sense, but of course buried in every, I think, lovely work of art. Let's be really optimistic and proud and call this film a work of art to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I think with any well-balanced presentation of any work of art, be it cinema or ballet or opera or drama on stage, you will find that there is a politics inside it, because it's been cleverly thought through, and because it's based on genuine life and genuine patterns of human behavior.
And at the same time, how lovely to have a film for and about grown-ups.
Yes. That
it's not a bunch of 20-year-olds, looking for whatever, every 20-year-old movie that comes along is looking for. That this deals with, I don't want to say mature subjects, but it's smart and it's grown up and funny.
I think some of those films for the young are a little bit unfair on the young, because they're not treating them as a demographic group. They're treating them as a marketplace. It's a commerce.
Yeah.
They're a source of income. They've got money to spend. But it's not, I don't think every film made to that, addressing itself to that group, is trying to tell them anything.
Yeah.
Or teach them anything about life's potentialities. Whereas this film, I think, is not aimed at a cash cow. It's aimed at telling a story to a group of people, and then from that group, I think, will spread a wider audience.
Yeah.
I had a journalist in her late 20s, early 30s, talking to me yesterday. She was from Belgium, and I was answering a question about Wendy's grief and how a warrior comes to her to help her through her grief. And Sikhs are warriors. Halfway through my answer, I noticed that she'd started to cry. And that was a very young woman who was obviously very moved by the content of the film.
Oh,
So
nice.
I think we'll reach a lot of people.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
It reminded me of seeing a really great play, when a play is so well written and well performed, and you just have that wonderful feeling when you're leaving the theater and talking with your friends
Yes. Yeah.
about the experience.
Yeah.
Also, it got me thinking a little bit about as Wendy's character learns to drive at a later age in life than most of us learn to drive when we're very young. I wonder if you experienced anything that you did learn later in life, not necessarily driving, but something that most people learn younger that Sir Ben picked up a little bit later in life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but I think I'm involved in a craft that brings with it a different day every day, and I'm involved with film crews now and people behind the camera and in front of the camera, and I'm really enjoying. I think I've always been learning. I think I've always been learning through my craft, about my craft, and through my craft, through learning about fellow human beings and their patterns of human behavior.
And probably experiencing things that if you were a civilian might not experience,
Might
but
not
because
experience.
you get to do different things and be other people, that you get to experience other things that you might not otherwise.
I agree, but also now warming to your question, I think that what I have learnt later in life that I was unable to define earlier on in life is the true value of intimacy and how long it takes to build it. It's not overnight. You have two attempts at intimacy on the screen. Hers is a one-night stand arranged by her sister. It's an arranged one-night stand. And mine is an arranged marriage. And I think that our Darwin and Jocelyn have more chance of building a really wonderful, intimate relationship than perhaps the sibling arranged one-night stand.
I hadn't even thought about that.
They're parallels.
As an arranged relationship,
Yeah.
the one-night stand, but that's exactly what it is. This movie just gets smarter and smarter by the minute to me, and enjoyed it. Interesting seeing you playing an Indian character. Very much reminded me of going back to the Gandhi days. I guess, did you have any hesitation in going back to that ever because of the enormous success of Gandhi and all the accolades that came with it?
There's been a healthy time span, and also I remembered that during filming Gandhi, I had this wonderful Sikh driver, bodyguard, who was with me every day, and I learnt just through being with him so much about their pride, dignity, strength, backbone, whatever you want to call it. And later on, of course, the connection with Darban Singh and Gandhi is that he was my driver. There's a lot of my driver in India, in Gandhi, in my portrait of Darban Singh.
Talk to me a little bit about yours and Patricia's acting style in this very simple, sparse film, as opposed to some of the huge films that you've been in. Is it a different kind of acting? Is it a more subtle kind of acting? Do you need to be bigger because bells and whistles aren't there that might otherwise be in blockbuster-esque films?
I think that we were at a great advantage by having dear Isabel not only direct the film, but also Isabel Quajet operates the camera. So she will see what you see in the theatre. She will see through her eyepiece. She has an all-seeing eye. She doesn't miss anything that the actors offer to her. And also, because Patricia and I worked together, we so deeply trusted one another that between takes, we didn't speak. Between setups, we didn't speak. And when we wrapped, we didn't have dinner together. We stayed in our Darwan Wendy box. And I think that it pays off towards the end of the film when you see those boundaries become a little bit porous, and they realize they're not quite sure how to handle it. but they do handle it beautifully in the story. So we stayed in our Darwin and Wendy bubbles, as it were.
I'd read, and God help me, reading on the internet and hoping that it's true, that you had said that sometimes you are somewhat hermit-like on a set. That you keep to yourself.
I do.
You don't especially socialize. Is it for that reason?
It is for that reason. I am custodian of my character for the length of that film, and if I feel that in any way I waste time, trivialize time, or allow my energies to be placed in other directions other than my portrait of him, and it will take all the days shooting available to me to work on this wonderful portrait of him, as if I were a painter, that gets a little bit obsessive, but not in a destructive way, and I hope not in an antisocial way.
Would it be distracting to your portrayal of that person if you were to say, Patricia, let's go to dinner, let's go for a walk, Right
now, talking to you, I think it would.
It would be.
Yes. I am approaching 2 very demanding films in Europe quite soon, and of course my colleagues, agents and producer friends have said, and you would like to meet I said, well, I'll meet them on the set. And they're a little bit puzzled by this.
Not really.
I would love to discover them on the set, because that's where it counts.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting process. I love that. I enjoy talking to you every time. Enjoy your films. This one is just instantly one of my favorites.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Always nice
Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.